Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another 2024 election prediction. This time we're covering the Iowa caucus, which is just in a few days from now. So, again, the Iowa caucus, it's looking pretty lopsided in favor of Donald Trump. Uh, Again, some DeSantis supporters have been saying DeSantis has a real shot at this. Listen, for DeSantis to have a shot here, he's at let's say an let's say where is he at here? 18% average here. All right, so Trump's up 30 points on him. For the margin of error, again, the margin of error goes from anywhere from like 3 to 5 points. Let's say it's a 5-point swing. So let's add 5 points to DeSantis' total and minus 5 points from Trump's total. That's still like a Trump 20% win. So again, even with the margin of error, like DeSantis' best hope is that that would occur, that there's a huge polling error in the state of Iowa. So instead of Trump being at like 50, while DeSantis is currently at like 17, take two things away from Trump, two things giving to DeSantis. It's still a 20-point Trump victory here. So again, DeSantis has to hope for like the biggest polling error in primary history. We've seen polling errors like that happen before, though, like in Michigan's primary in 2016 with the Democrats. Sanders managed to win the state after being down in the polls by like 30 points. But I would say Iowa's different because we have a standard and a good history in Iowa of the polls here. Like, even if it's a close race, let's say, for example, DeSantis supporters may mention 2016, where Trump actually led in the polls and Ted Cruz ended up winning. We could take a look back at the polling back out here. In the polling back here, the race was within the margin of error in most of these polls. You see Trump and Cruz were close to each other, except for this one, which is 7 points, but that's still a margin of error of 3, so it still reasonably happened. If you just give 3 to Cruz, minus 3 from Trump, it still would have occurred. But again, he has to hope for like a huge polling error here, way bigger than what happened in 2016, because even then, Trump, on the average, was up by like 4 or 3 points, and that was reasonable for Ted Cruz to pull off the victory, because, again, with the caucuses, it's really hard thing to predict if it's a close race, like especially if it's within 5 points. It could go either way in that situation. But this is a different case. Trump's up by 30, so even if the margin of error goes exactly DeSantis' way, Trump still wins the Iowa caucus by 20%. Now, I know DeSantis does actually have a pretty decent ground game in the state of Iowa. He's visited every single county here. So, again, we could see DeSantis probably get into like the 20s. I kind of expect him to hit that around there. I think he'll do a little bit better because, again, caucuses aren't primaries. It's really just voter enthusiasm here. So if you ran a good campaign, you spent a lot of ground game and spent a lot of time in those counties, it would definitely pay off. Vivek campaigned the most in here, and he's probably only going to finish in 4th place with like 7 or 8% of the vote. Because, again, I think he's a pretty overrated candidate. Most of his support is just from online supporters. So, getting into this final Iowa caucus prediction. All right, first off, Asa Hutchinson. Let's just take a look here. He's polling at like 0 or 1%. Even if, let's go back to 2016, even if you finish with like 1% of the vote, you still get like a delegate. As long as it's like 1.5% or something, you'd still net a single one. So I do think Asa, he'll get a single delegate because, again, they just give it out like pretty easily in the Iowa caucus. It's just really, really proportional. So, of course, Asa, he'll get his one delegate. Chris Christie, he'll probably get about 5% of the vote, 4%, something like that. I think he'll get around 2 delegates or so. Vivek Ramaswamy, he'll, of course, probably get 4th place, but he'll get 7% of the vote, get 3 delegates. Then we already know Trump's going to finish first. Even like the worst case scenario, he gets like 40% of the vote. Right now, I think I'll put him at about 50 or 47, probably like that. Now, there's a chance that Nikki Haley actually gets second against DeSantis, and that would set her up well for the New Hampshire primary, where she has a really good shot at actually beating Donald Trump. I'd give her about a 40% chance right now. Or 45%. Not that high. 43% chance at winning New Hampshire currently. But that depends. If Chris Christie drops out and DeSantis drops out, she would probably be the favorite to win in New Hampshire. I think if it's a clean race, a 1v1 there, she would probably actually end up winning, because there's a lot of independents that vote in New Hampshire's primary. Okay, again, let's focus on Iowa. So again, some polls actually show Nikki Haley in second here, but again, DeSantis has spent a lot more time in this state. He's pretty much been camped out here for a very long time. I don't think Nikki Haley will get second. I think DeSantis will do slightly a bit better. And again, Iowa in the caucuses for Republicans, it's very socially conservative, and DeSantis is arguably a bit more socially conservative than Donald Trump, so I see him getting a bit of a boost with evangelical voters, which are very prevalent in the Iowa caucus. So let's head back to the map here. So I think DeSantis, he probably at least hits like 20% or so. While Nikki Haley gets around 15%. Maybe we could take a delegate down here, and Nikki Haley would probably be a little bit more behind DeSantis. So I see something like this happening. This is my final Iowa caucus prediction. Trump with 47% of the vote, DeSantis with 20%, Nikki Haley with 17%, Vivek with 7% in fourth, Chris Christie in fifth with 5%, and Asa Hutchinson. And he'll probably be lucky to win a single delegate here, but I think he at least gets like 1.5% just for being that lone candidate there. It would be pretty sad if he ran this campaign and not win a single delegate here, but that could also happen, which would be kind of funny. He ran all this way to Iowa just to win nothing. So, yeah, I currently think Trump's a massive favorite to win in the Iowa caucus. I'd probably give it like an 80% chance. There's always that 15% chance that DeSantis somehow wins it, like in the most biggest upset ever. There's always that chance. And with Nikki Haley, I would say she probably gets third. Again, DeSantis spent a lot more time investing into this state, but Nikki Haley could also finish second, but I kind of doubt it so far. So that's my 2024 Republican primary Iowa caucus prediction. Let me know what you think of this video in the comments below. And let me know who you think will win the Iowa caucus, or what's your guesses on the placements here. I'm very curious in hearing feedback from my audience on this. So let me know how you think it's going to go. Other than that, I'll see you all in the next video. Thanks so much for watching.